Hey there, East Main Baptist Church. Thank you so much for joining me today for another real short talk with Ryan. We're in Psalm 137 today. As always, I invite you to find it in your copy of God's Word. Read it either right now or read it after you watch this video. Be in God's Word for yourself. Do you ever feel like your life is falling apart? Probably, right? There's all sorts of things that can make us feel like our lives are falling apart. Some of them are really big things, and some of them, if we're honest, are smaller things, but they just still make us feel like everything is crashing down around us. Well, the good news is, if you feel that way, or if you've ever felt that way before, you're not alone, right? You're in a long line of people that have felt that way. The people of Israel certainly felt that way, and that's kind of the setting of this psalm, Psalm 137. It says, "By the waters of Babylon, there we sat down and wept when we remembered Zion." So the psalm is written as a reflection when the people of Israel are in captivity in Babylon. The Babylonians came in and they conquered Israel and they conquered Judah, and they take the people away from the promised land. They remove them from the place that God had told them that He would be. They destroy the temple, the symbol of God's presence there among the people. They've wrecked Jerusalem, the city. And man, they feel like life is falling apart, right? They sit down and they weep. Right? Surely you've had those moments where all it seems that you can do is sit down and weep, where you remember how things were, right? And you're like, man, I didn't appreciate it enough when I had it. See how things have fallen to pieces. It says, on the willows there we hung up our lyres, right? They couldn't even make music to the Lord anymore. For there our captors required of us songs, and our tormentors mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion, right? They're being taunted. Man, where is your God now, is what they're saying. Look at what we have done. Look at how your life is terrible. That's because of us, right? Because they're trying to say we're greater than your God. And that's what our circumstances do to us. When life seems like it's falling apart, our circumstances are saying, I'm greater than your God. Hey, show me that joy that you had earlier, right? Show me that faith that you had earlier. You can't, because I'm greater than your God. That's what our circumstances are trying to tell us. But listen to what the people say. They say, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill. Let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you, if I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy. And in Jerusalem is really a stand-in for God's kingdom. Right? And he's saying, hey, woe is me if I would forget God's kingdom, if I would forget the Lord, if I would forget the promises of God, if I would forget His promises to be with us, to provide us with His presence, if I would forget the promises of God to give us a people, right, to make a great nation for Himself. Woe is me if I forget the promises of God to establish His kingdom. Woe is me if I forget the promises of God to give me kingdom purposes with my life. So what do we do, right? What do we do when it seems like our circumstances are greater than God, when they're saying ha in our face, when it seems like life is falling apart? We reflect on the promises of God. That's how we get up again. That's how we keep moving forward when it's like, man, this is terrible. We reflect on the promises of God. We reflect on His promise to always be with us. We reflect on His promise to draw more people to Himself. We reflect on His promise to bring us safely home, to be with Him, that He will never leave us, nor forsake us, nor abandon us, right? We reflect on His promise to give us kingdom purposes, that we have work to do on this earth and for all of eternity to extend His glory. And when we do that, we remember that our God is greater, that His steadfast love endures forever, as we talked about last week from Psalm 136. And when we do that, and even when our circumstances are trying to laugh in our face, we can say, no, my God is greater. My God is greater. How do you keep moving forward and life seems to fall apart? You say, my God is greater. You reflect upon His promises and you trust in Him. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week. Until then, go and glorify God's name.